We're now going to walk through an activity that calculates really the true or total cost of ownership of purchasing a car compared with the total cost of ownership, again, even though you're not actually purchasing, but of rideshare. We're going to walk through both scenarios and see what kind of comparison we come up with. So what you're looking at here is the comparison calculations. You'll see that on the left, purchasing versus rideshare. And then on the right-hand side, we'll take a look at the overall comparison, buying a car versus taking rideshare. At the end of this exercise, the area here, annual cost summary, and really we're looking at the bottom line. And then visually, this chart over here on the right will highlight the true comparison between the two on an annual basis. Let's now work through all of the details or hidden costs or total cost of ownership when purchasing a car. Okay, so we're going to work through this worksheet here, and we're going to fill in some of the details here. You can see that there's a lot of variables that you have to consider when purchasing a car. Obviously, we're going to start off with the initial sticker price of the car. So let's take our $25,000 example. So 25. What about the sales tax? Let's say maybe 5%. Maybe there are purchasing fees, which a lot of dealerships apply. I guess depending on the car, maybe if there aren't any incentives, or again, also depending on where you live. So let's just say we'll keep it fairly low at $200. Usually, even if you're taking out a loan on a car, you do have to put down some type of down payment. And typically that's probably around anywhere from 3 to 5% of the total cost of the car. For this example, let's just go ahead and put down a down payment of $3,000. Then the loan amount is typically anywhere from 4 to 5 years, or let's just say 60 months. And interest rates, and actually right now, interest rates are relatively low, so let's just go ahead and put 3%. So in terms of your annual purchase cost for right now, we're at $5,716.74. That includes the breakdown of the price of the car and all of these fees and taxes that are listed here. So now let's go ahead and put in some more details. Now, these are going to be annual costs. So let's go ahead and focus on maintenance and repairs. Let's just say maybe $1,000 per year. Well, actually, if it's a new car, that might be a little bit high. Let's go ahead with $500. Insurance, again, there's a lot of variables that are factored into this. The price of the car, the trim, your age, where you live, etc. So annually, let's just go ahead with about $800 per year. Registration and taxes, again, depending on where you live, let's say just, I don't know, let's just say $70 per year. If you have to pay to garage your car, maybe you live in a big city and you can park on the street, but it's pretty hard, and you actually have to pay for it to be garaged. Let's just say maybe about in a year's time, let's just keep it relatively low, although this can get pricey. Let's keep it at $600 per year. Property tax on garage, again, depending on whether you own it, rent it, etc. That could be an additional fee, other garage expenses. It could be anything, so we'll just keep that fairly simple for now. So now we have fuel costs. Right now, fuel prices are fairly low, so let's go with Regular gas, regular unleaded gas, probably about, I don't know, 275 a gallon. Oh, I have 375, I think. 275. Fuel efficiency. So do you drive a Hummer or do you drive a Honda Civic? That really makes a difference. So let's just take the average, 25 miles per gallon. And you can't see all of the calculations, but I have formulas, and I will share this spreadsheet with you so you can use it at a later date or even take it with you when you go to the dealership. Cost of time, if you're parking, maybe you drive to work every day and you actually have to park it, or maybe you, I don't know, go to the grocery store and where it's located, you need to pay for parking for whatever reason. We'll keep this low. We'll just, this number of minutes, let's just say 60 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look really quickly at all these calculations. And we're going to go back to the summary. And you can see that our chart has changed quite a bit. Our bottom line over here has increased. Total annual costs. That cost of time seems very high. We're going to go back here. I'm going to actually zero this out for now. Okay, let's go back here to the summary. Here's what we're looking at in terms of annual cost for that $25,000 car. You can look at visually the chart here, how it's breaking down. Okay, now we're going to move on to rideshare. We're going to factor in some calculations for annual rideshare costs. Okay, so I know that these prices fluctuate depending on the rideshare company and where you're located, even time of day, but we're just going to do a little bit of an estimate here. So let's just say that the base fare, let's just go with $2.30, maybe. Maybe they also charge per distance, but let's go ahead and maybe keep that at, I don't know, 25 cents a mile. And if there's also a time variable that's charged, we'll just keep that pretty low at 10 cents. That's not a typical charge, but depending on the rideshare program or company, that may be a factor that you have to think about. And then the typical surge price. So sometimes there's surge pricing depending on, again, on the company and the time of day the week, maybe even the time of year, and then the location, even within a city. So we'll calculate this at 2. Maybe it doubles. Percentage of rides during that surge period. We'll just, as you can see, there's a lot that goes into this. Now, also the cost of time. The typical time that you wait per trip, let's just say about 5 minutes. And how productive you are during that time. Be very productive. Okay, so now we have your calculations. There's a lot of other things that can go into this. As you can see, one of the things that I calculated in here is your cost of time. You know, there are additional things that you can factor in as well. Like if there are multiple people in your family, you may have to do a couple of different comparisons. So maybe multiply this by 3 or 4 people, and you know that price overall would go up exorbitantly compared to maybe purchasing a car. So you have to think about all of these things. Okay, now let's go back to the summary and see what we're looking like. Again, we're looking at annual costs. So let's take a look. The examples that we used here, a single person doing rideshare, and purchasing a car for $25,000 and the annual costs, kind of roughly what they stack up, how they stack up against each other. You can see here that rideshare is almost half of the cost annually as buying that $25,000 car. So it might be obvious to you that ride sharing for a while until you can actually afford that $25,000 car is probably the best decision. Or maybe taking some time and looking around at a car that's maybe about half the cost. And then these figures might come a little bit closer. Again, I actually have this resource for you, the spreadsheet that you can use, and it's in the resources area. If you take a look at your upper left-hand screen, you can take this spreadsheet and fill out the numbers yourself. So for example, one of the things you may eliminate under buying a car is maybe your garage costs. Maybe you live in a rural area or you live in a suburb and you actually park in a driveway. So then those types of things won't factor in and you can eliminate those. But typically, purchasing of a car, these are things that everyone will have to pay in some way, shape, or form. Car usage, obviously, fuel costs. So think about that and make sure that you download that spreadsheet and use it when you're ready to make that big purchase.